This is how I say hello.
Google Pixel 9 Pro.
This is how I say hello.
We're often told that black fathers are absent in their children's lives.
Too many black men have examples of what they don't want to be and not enough of what they do want to be.
My mum and dad divorced when I was a month old, so I never had a father in my life. We've all come from dysfunction of some kind. So what we're trying to create is a functional family.
My son comes first. It's not even a negotiable.
My dad is and was and will always be a giant to me because he's my dad.
We understand in order to rise, we have to build. When we look out onto the world, we're very aware that they're looking back at us.
The power of our stories is often absent from history books, making it even more vital that we tell them ourselves. We are much more complex than the world typically defines us. And this father, together with his husband, exemplifies there are many different ways into the path and journey of black fatherhood.
I grew up in a place called Southall. We lived on this estate, and my dad was a youth worker. So he worked with all the kids in the neighborhood, and he was just very involved. He was involved in his children's lives. He was involved in his nieces and nephews. He was involved in the community, and he cares. He cares now, he cared then, and he's very much wanted everyone to be their best selves and to understand what we hold within ourselves and how in some instances the systems are designed to keep us in our place, but understanding self takes you further because no one can take that away from you once you know who you are. My dad is strong, he's powerful, he's been pretty focused and consistent. My dad is and was and will always be a giant to me because he's my dad. I appreciate more now than ever who he was to me then as my father teaching me to be a man. And I think that's always the interesting bit when you kind of look back and you go, oh, that's the reason why you were telling me that I have to be on time and that I have to listen and that I have to have a plan and I can't just be coasting and I need to apply myself in school and all these things where at the time I was like, oh God, here he goes again. Now as an adult, it's like, yeah, okay, I appreciate it. My journey to fatherhood was I adopted, so it wasn't a situation that I had 9 months to prepare per se. Like, you see the baby growing and get the ultra scan and everyone's asking you, when's the baby due and, what's the sex and have all these conversations. When you're going through adoption, you don't really have any of those conversations. You tell people, but it's not the same joys attached to it, even though it should definitely be. It was a challenge. So I had to go and have some therapy and have a conversation with someone and talk about why I was feeling so anxious. And I'm suddenly responsible for this little person in their life. No one prepares you for how tired you'll be and how worried you'll be about, am I doing that right? Should I have said that to them? Did I say it the wrong way? Is that going to leave a scar? So the journey was tricky because it went from 0 to 10 really quickly. To be a father for me, it mirrors what my dad was. It's to be a constant, to be involved, to listen to him, to ask him questions, to put him in spaces where he learns and sees things, and that he's able to become a good man that does good things, and instill in him the confidence to keep moving forward even when it becomes tricky.
You okay?
Yeah. How you doing?
I'm good. I got a nice background for you, right?
Yes, you have got a nice background for me.
do you actually ask you this? Do you think you could ever focus on one thing, or do you think you are a person that is full and accomplished by having the multiple strands that actually just being in film or just being in music or just fashion wouldn't be able to be, I suppose, fulfilling or impactful enough?
I just like having a diverse portfolio and having fun, exploring different things and learning new things. I think what I do now, it's all connected and it's all about creativity and culture change. Then the work I'm doing with young people, I went to university and I've done other qualifications while being in the working world and navigated my way up into, a vice president role in a very big corporate organization, while starting my own organizations, things that give back to the next generation. Like you, I have a team of fantastic people. Thinking about the world that I grew up in versus the world that my father grew up in and the world that my son is growing up in, I think there's three quite distinct differences. So my father was the first generation of black children born in this country, had to go to school in this educational system that didn't understand them, didn't understand their culture, didn't understand their heritage, and in some instances didn't care. And then for them to have to go into the world of work, there wasn't that expectation that they could do things that they could achieve. And both my parents are educated, smart, clever people. So then I think for us, their children and me, they pushed us academically. At school, they often talk to you about, oh yeah, you can do sports. My parents weren't about that. They would be like, can he count? Does he know how to read? Like the fundamental skills that you need to survive in life. I think my son is now sitting in a space where I will have access to different things that continue to open the doors that my dad opened for me. But also in his school journey, I'm able to articulate to his teachers and whoever what he needs to be the best him, and that they have to respect that and lean into that and to know his history, but also wherever he wants to go, that's his path to walk. And there isn't any limit to that. And I think as parents, that's always the hard bit of kind of perceiving more for your children, and how you build that. I used to work at a cinema. I was probably 18 or 19, I can't remember how old I was. And we all had our tills, and unfortunately mine was down by some money. But I will say that throughout the day, lots of people went on your till. So it wasn't just you all day, it was a few people. But however, the manager of the place decided that he wanted me to jump up and down on the spot and try and check if I'd stolen, I think it was like £12, I can't remember exact money, but it was like £12 and something ridiculous. And it was really humiliating to have to go through that. But I got home and I was so vexed that you're so angry, you just cry. Stormed upstairs, slammed the door of my bedroom. See, my dad's like, what are you slamming doors in my house for? Came and had a conversation with me and I kind of started crying. I said to him, look, the man accused me of stealing and I don't want to go back there. I can't believe that's what they're going to do. Then he came and sat down next to me and was like, what do you want to do? Do you want to go back and work there? What do you want to do? And I was like, I just want to stop. I don't want to have to go back. I've got a shift tomorrow. I don't want to actually do the shift. I just want out. And he was like, okay, so what are you going to do to make some money? And I was like, I'm going to call my aunt. My aunt ran a catering business and see if she's got some shifts I can do. It's like, see, you got a solution. And on reflection, it's the piece of, he didn't baby me and be like, oh, you poor thing. He kind of we had a conversation and he helped me walk through the steps I need to take to make a decision and to have a solution of my cash flow, and not making sure that I wasn't broke but asking him for money. For my son, I'm going to speak up. I'm not going to be quiet. I'm going to call things out. Now, what I won't do, though, is I won't be confronting anybody in the street or anything like that. I will go and talk to the powers that be. I'll go and talk to the school and say to them, what are you going to do? And if they don't know what they're going to do, I'm going to give them the tools for what they need to do. You need to do an assembly. I'll go and find you a speaker to come and do an assembly for you. That's what I'll do.
There are many different paths to becoming a father, but there's a significant difference between being a father and being a dad.
Our journey to becoming parents was one of, making a decision to adopt and going through the process of what adoption means in the modern world today. So I think when everyone thinks about adoption, you think, oh, there's a young girl or young couple that are teenagers and they've got pregnant and decide to give their child up. Unfortunately, currently that is not the case. The children that are adopted are taken from their parents because their parents, in some instances, are not able to care for them in the way that is necessary. For me and my husband, hearing that was obviously hard, and learning that part of the journey was hard. And then statistically, black children, and especially black boys, stay in the system longer and don't necessarily get adopted. So they just basically go through the care system and then into the prison cycle.
Working together to run the ship, each member takes care of their very own bit.
So I actually spoke to a colleague at work who kind of said to me, you should definitely think about adoption. I've adopted. They need more black adopters. There's an opportunity there. And I think culturally it's assumed that we don't adopt because we don't want to take on someone else's burden, is the language that, I remember family members throwing out back in the day. And for me, it was that piece of actually, what could I do for my son? What could I do for this child who I didn't know yet? What spaces could I create for him? What joy could I bring to his life? And I think I just got to a point where I was like, yeah, this is definitely what I should be doing. I would say to everybody, as you think about how you become a parent, look into adoption, explore it, make it become an option, because these kids that are there in that system deserve love, deserve a home, and we can't leave our children in the system. It's not good. Making black men a monolith, black people a monolith, I think it's easy. It's the opportunity to not necessarily see us and make the necessary adaptations to welcome us. It's a cheat sheet, I guess, in the sense of, oh yeah, I know you. Oh yeah, you're Jamaican. I've been to the Caribbean. Oh, I know you. You're Nigerian, but no, I'm Ghanaian, or whatever it might be. It's just those kind of things of, oh, everybody's the same. That's the hard bit sometimes, being a black person. You don't get to be an individual. You are part of this ecosystem of this black person over there does something bad, you're also bad. And I think that's the bit we've kind of got to work on is, that person does something bad, it's that person that did something bad. Not every black person. That one did something great. There's others that are equally as great and they need the shine. So I think it's finding the balance. What I love about being me is I think I know how to get stuff done, but I also know how to bring people together and try and build community and connections. And I think I always try and come from a place of respect and understanding and the space to listen to other people.
The role of a black father is multifaceted. Yes, you have to be a provider, but you also have to be present.
The thing I guess I have been thinking about is the legacy, what I create for him, but also how I help him navigate. And I think that's the expectations. What are the bits that are going to be hard, and how do I not show fear at the moment that he says something that's scary to me or has a connotation that is negative? How do I not show too much emotion and kind of sit with it and think of an answer that educates and informs him, but doesn't show my fear? And I think that's the tricky bit, and the bit I'll have to figure out.
This is how I say hello.
Google Pixel 9 Pro.
This is how